Welcome to the Root Cause Revolution podcast with functional and integrative nurse nutritionist and energy medicine practitioner, Audrey Christie.
All right, y'all, let's talk coffee. Welcome to episode 267 of the Root Cause Revolution podcast. I'm your host, and today we're talking about coffee, and more specifically, whether or not you have to give it up to heal your body. That is a question I get all the time because, friends, we love our coffee, don't we? So we're going to talk about that today. If this is your first time listening, I want to take a minute to introduce myself. I am a root cause clinician, and I specialize in helping you start your own root cause revolution to rebalance your body from the roots so it can heal for good. So if you're done with Band-Aid fixes and Band-Aid diets and Band-Aid medications and Band-Aid supplements and ready for real healing solutions, I can help. All right, so buckle up, right? We have heard many, many times that coffee is bad for you. Coffee is this, coffee is that. Well, it probably is all of those things if you're getting Folgers or like your random cup of coffee, but it doesn't have to be. You can have coffee that is nourishing and even pseudo-hydrating. You can have coffee that has healing properties, and it just takes a little bit of smart shopping on your part. Now, there is no world in where drinking coffee all day long is a health benefit. Just like anything, you can have too much of a good thing, but having a cup or two of coffee along your healing journey, and then making sure it's coffee that is either extremely clean, mycotoxin, which is another word for mold, free, and organic is one big way to make sure that you are nourishing your body and not detracting from your health. Now, basically, what I want you to know today is that coffee has some benefits, right? There are a few benefits that are associated with coffee that aren't associated with any other beverage, right? So one is that coffee can stimulate your metabolism, particularly your brown fat. So a lot of people know that coffee gets your engine running in the morning. I talk to people all day, every day that say, well, we have to talk about bowel movements when you talk to me, right? That's a big part of whether or not your body is doing what it's supposed to do. So we always have to ask that embarrassing question, tell me about your poo. And most people will say, well, I have a great poop after I have coffee, right? So in a standard cup of coffee, it has been proven that there is enough caffeine to stimulate something called brown fat activity. And brown fat activity helps you to burn more energy and is said to improve your insulin sensitivity. These two activities together can actually help you with weight management. Now, this is not saying that coffee is a meal, so we're not saying that. But brown fat tissue is involved in heat generation. It burns glucose and fats in a very special mitochondrial reaction. And when this happens, it reduces one's potential for obesity. Now, there are some caveats as to what kind of coffee this has to be, okay? And we'll talk more about this in just a minute. Now, additionally, if you can hold the flavored cream and hold the sugar and, well, really hold the dairy all together and drink it as it's supposed to be, there are lots of other health benefits that are associated with properly grown, properly harvested, and properly roasted coffee. It's been found that drinking coffee is inversely associated with the risk of developing type 2 diabetes, meaning it is the opposite of increasing the risk, right? It also suggests that coffee helps to reduce post-workout muscle soreness for all my workout friends out there. I know I have a cup of coffee after my workouts most mornings, and I don't know if it reduces my soreness, then wow, like I must be really sore. But studies show that it also helps to improve athletic performance as well as reducing after workout muscle soreness. Now, here's the thing. Here's the kind of the caveat, right? Coffee has to be a few things. In order to have these benefits, it has to be dark roast, organically or biodynamically grown coffee beans. The brown to black beans that you take out of a coffee bag, those start out green. I don't know if you know that. If you've ever driven through a Starbucks drive-through, at least the ones around here, they have a picture of green coffee beans, and you kind of go down the drive-through and it goes from green to brown. By the way, Starbucks coffee does not count for any of these health benefits ever, period. All right. But what happens is when you get your coffee, they've taken a green coffee bean and they have roasted it at a high heat to release their flavor. And then you've probably seen in the grocery store, coffee can be anything from like a light to dark roast. And each one can have, especially if you're a coffee connoisseur, it can have like a unique taste and an acidity level, and you might taste warm notes or sweet notes depending on how the coffee bean was raised. Now, dark roasted coffee has the biggest set of health benefits because it has such a high levels of antioxidants and low levels of acrylamide. So far we've talked about the color of coffee being important, and you know that it needs to be organic. The color or the roast of the coffee isn't the only thing. You have to seek out organically or biodynamically grown coffee greens. Now, the reason why you have to do this is because the chemical residue levels in green coffee, they keep the limits of those chemical residues really high, like bumping up against the limits that are allowed by regulations. And the chemical residues are a result of heavily sprayed crops with our very favorite glyphosate, right? So chemical residues are a result of the application of glyphosate in countries that produce coffee beans. So Nestle coffee, for example, Nestle makes a whole lot of coffee in a whole lot of different packages. It doesn't just say Nestle, but they have issues because their coffee beans are grown in China, and China uses a lot of glyphosate to ensure that their beans grow up to be healthy, whatever beans. So you have to make sure you're using organically grown beans. Brazilian producers or Brazilian coffees are a little bit better. They sell a lot to European countries, which have much stricter regulations than the US does, much, much stricter. But you have to remember, coffee is just like food, and the quality of the food that you eat is determined by how it's grown. It's the same thing with coffee. Even organically produced food, meaning food that's grown without pesticides, can be nutrient deficient in soil. But I have a solution for you, because the only way to take organically dark roast coffee and make it even better for you is by adding it to something by adding something to it that has proven benefits. And one of my very favorite combinations for that is Reishi Mushrooms. Reishi Mushrooms have thousands of clinical studies. You'll find the clinical studies on PubMed under Ganoderma, which is the scientific name for reishi mushroom. It's kind of been known as the king of herbs. It's the 10,000-year-old mushroom. It's said to have many, many healing properties beyond what has been clinically studied and proven, but just some that are clinically studied and proven are anti-aging properties, anti-cancer potential, detoxification of the body, improved cognitive activity, major anti-inflammatory properties, improves respiration, lowers blood pressure. It helps to bolster and support the immune system and provides boosted energy. Reishi is an adaptogen. So when you add it to all of those benefits that we've already discussed for an organically or biodynamically grown coffee that is dark roasted, you have got a huge asset to your wellness arsenal. Now, there's lots of different ways that you can get this kind of coffee. My very favorite way to get it is a company called Organo Gold, and they have a lot of products. And just like every company that I tell you guys about so far anyways, there are products that I really love from this company, and there are products that I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. So the products that I really love, of course, are the Organo King coffee. You'll find that in the show notes linked up. You can get a 5-day trial pack, and it's a little switch in your cup of joe for a cup of King King trial that I suggest everyone give a try for. I have been drinking Organo King coffee for almost 2 years now on a daily basis, except for when I run out by no fault of Organo, always my fault for failing to reorder or not realizing how fast we're going to go through a coffee. And I will tell you, this is 2022, in the last 2 years, the one time that I have been ill, the one time is when I ran out of King coffee. I was out of King coffee for a week. I ordered it. It took 3 or 4 days to get in. And during that time, I got sick. Could it have been coincidence? Absolutely. But I don't think that it is, because of the immune boosting and detoxification effects this coffee has. So all of this to say, you can get this in something like King Organo Gold. You can buy something called Reishi Mushrooms Reishi Powder and add that to an already shade-grown organic dark roasted coffee. That works as well. You can get the Reishi Mushrooms, generally are in stock on Amazon. You can also order them from realmushrooms.com. That's not a paid placement. They're just a good company. And, or you can try the Organo Gold. One thing about Organo Gold is what is actually in there is not just the mycelium. It's not just reishi mushroom ground up and put in the coffee. It's actually something called reishi spores. Each reishi spore has the potency. It's kind of like microgreens, right? It has the potency of the undeveloped reishi mushroom. And so it has the ability to have a much greater impact. So in each little packet of King coffee, there is a therapeutic dose of reishi spores to help modulate your immune system, to help reduce inflammation, to help lower your blood pressure, to help do all of the things to detoxify and support your body, support your human suit. So all of this to say, to answer the question, do you always have to give up coffee in order to heal? And the answer is no. But what you might have to do is change the way you're looking at the coffee you're consuming, purchase better coffee, whether it's Organo King, whether it is, again, a shade-grown organic dark roasted coffee from the grocery store or from your favorite online retailer. Either way, know that coffee can be healthy and beneficial, and it doesn't have to go away in order for you to heal. Thank you for listening today. And as always, I am rooting for you, friends. I will see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Root Cause Revolution podcast. Be sure and subscribe on your favorite podcast provider. Ratings and reviews are always appreciated.